Are you sure you want to be happy? Is happiness the ultimate goal for you? Willing to bet that when I make the connection to sport and being an athlete, you'll realize that if you've been chasing happiness, you're chasing the wrong thing. Hey, what's up? It's Cletus Coffey, the founder of Recovering Athlete Coaching and Training, and we're here to talk about happiness. Who doesn't want to be happy, right? Well, let me remind you about sport and being an athlete. And it doesn't matter if you played 1 year in sport or you had a long career, maybe through high school, collegiate, professional, Olympic level, it doesn't matter. I want to remind you about happiness in sport, or maybe lack thereof. See, think about it, being an athlete. Think about sports. Were you really happy being an athlete? And I bet if we were to dissect, you and I would dissect this back and forth, you recognize that happiness really wasn't a part of, or a main goal and driver for your athletic career. Keep in mind, when you were injured, were you happy? When you didn't perform well, were you happy? When you lost a game or lost a race or lost a match, did that bring happiness into your life? Well, in a bit it wasn't. I'm sure at those stages you were frustrated, you were hurting, you were scared. It wasn't a time of happiness. Those were hard times. Now on the flip side, when you won, of course you were happy. When you performed well, you were happy. See, those types of things brought us happiness. What were those attached to? And this is what most people, when I ask most people, what were your happiest times in sport? We won the championship, we won the race, making the team. Those are often results based. Their happiness was connected to a result. Results that we can't control. You can't control the scoreboard. You can't control whether you make the team. You can't control if you start. You can't control if you win. You can't control how many points you score. You can put forth the effort capable of achieving those types of results. Ultimately, you can't control it. So our happiness was attached to something that was out of our control. And once we lost control, it brought unhappiness. And so when we look back on your career, let's not look back on were those happy times, and I get it, hanging out with your teammates, the experience, the travel, the road trips. I mean, those things were fun. And ultimately they're part of the overall package as far as being an athlete. But instead of looking at happiness, this factor of being happy, I would rather point our focus on joy, and more specifically, fulfillment. Was it fulfilling? And I'll ask you right now, was your athletic career, did it bring you joy? Were you fulfilled? And more times than not, 99.9% of athletes go, yeah, absolutely. And so it's not, were you happy? Because there was a lot of ups and downs, unhappy times, and happy times that were connected to things that were out of our control. So it wasn't really making us happy. What you felt was fulfillment and joy. You loved being out there. You loved to go back there, I'm willing to bet, depending on how many years removed. If you're a former athlete, you'd love to go back there and do it all over again because it brought you joy. It was fulfilling for you. So now, with that in mind, let's talk about where we're at now in life after sports. Are we chasing happiness? And there's a lot of content, a lot of talk, books about happiness, Be Happy, the happiness factor, all these things. And I really believe we're missing, and again, I'm talking about as athletes here, how we're wired. We're pointing towards the wrong target. It's not happiness that you really want. It's the fulfillment and the joy, because within those things are going to be happy moments. There's going to be setbacks. There's going to be failures. There's going to be hurt and injury and breakups and loss in life after sports. That's not an if, but a when. Those are going to happen. And I'm willing to bet if it's connected to your work or creating your lifestyle, if you're not experiencing those things, you're really not putting forth the effort. I mean, think about it. Think about someone who's done anything of any significance in life. Think about that person. Have they failed in the past? You better believe it. Have they had setbacks, loss, hurt? Absolutely. That's part of the process. And so if you're fearing those things, it's time to start to do something uncomfortable. And I'm willing to bet when you do something that's uncomfortable, that's in alignment with what it brings you joy, magic happens, baby. Just this, for me talking to you right here, is effort, it's hard work, it's joy, it's fulfilling. And I love what I'm doing. I love to be able to connect with you and support former athletes to make a greater impact in life than we ever did in sports, because our time as athletes is just a blip on our map of life. So let's focus on what fulfills you, what brings you joy. Those are pieces to your puzzle. Those are clues. So I encourage you, if the next step that you can take away from this training here is to go and start to ask yourself, what brings me joy? And it may be something that you haven't been tracking towards. It may be all the way over here, and that's all right. Listen to it. Don't ignore it. Don't say, no, I can't do that. Listen to it. It brings you joy. It brings you fulfillment. That's what we want to track towards. My friends, if this brought you any type of support, comfort, or insight, or motivation to go out and find fulfillment and joy, please hit subscribe on the channel here. I would love to bring you more motivational content, more training to help you make a greater impact in your life than you ever did as an athlete.